When was the last time you felt genuinely calm, not distracted, not just less stressed than yesterday, but actually calm? And if that's a question that made you stop and think, then this video may be for you. Today, we're talking about nervous system regulation. And by the end of this conversation, it is going to explain some things or some questions that you may have asked yourself about yourself. I know there are questions that I have certainly pondered from time to time. Some of the questions like why you can't sit in stillness, why rest makes you more anxious than not, or why you keep choosing relationships that feel familiar but leave you depleted. It all connects back to your nervous system. And once you understand it, everything changes. Your nervous system is your body's internal alarm and safety system. It is running in the background of every moment, single moment of your life. Every conversation, every decision, every relationship, every night you can't sleep, every morning you wake up already exhausted. And it is constantly without pause doing one thing, and that thing is scanning. It is scanning your environment, your relationships, your body, your memories, and asking one fundamental question. And that question is, am I safe right now? And in this case, safe doesn't mean what we typically think it means. It doesn't mean safe from physical danger. In the case of our nervous system, safe means it means, am I accepted? Am I connected? Or do I have some sense of control? And am I too overwhelmed to cope right now? And when the answer to those questions is yes, I am accepted, I am connected, I am not overwhelmed, then your nervous system settles into what we call a regulated state. And in the regulated state, something remarkable happens. You can think clearly. You can listen without defensiveness. You can make decisions from a grounded place, and you can be present with the people that you love. You feel, I guess the simplest way to put it is you feel like yourself. But when the answer is no to those questions, then when your nervous system decides, even subtly, even unconsciously, that something is not safe, it responds. And that response is not a choice, it is biology. I want to describe what nervous system dysregulation actually looks like in everyday life, because I think a lot of us, including myself, have a narrow picture of what it's supposed to look like. We think dysregulation looks like a panic attack or a breakdown or something dramatic and possibly invisible to ignore. But most of the time, and this is what I really want us to understand, is dysregulation looks much quieter than that and much more ordinary. It looks like snapping at someone you love and not fully understanding why. It could also look like lying in bed exhausted, but completely unable to sleep. For some, it looks like finishing your to-do list and immediately creating another one because stopping just feels worse than continuing. It could look like being in a room full of people and feeling profoundly alone. It can look like knowing exactly what you should do and being completely unable to make yourself do it. But here's where I want to go a little deeper, because there are two patterns that I see consistently in my work and in my own life that almost never get connected to nervous system dysregulation. And I think that disconnect is keeping a lot of us stuck. The first one is the inability to sit in stillness. So if you can't be alone with yourself, if silence makes you uncomfortable, if doing nothing feels physically intolerable, if you reach for your phone the moment you have an unscheduled minute, or if rest makes you more anxious than less, that may not be a personality trait. That may be a dysregulated nervous system. A nervous system that has spent years living in anxiety, urgency, and overstimulation begins to experience stillness as a threat because stillness was never safe. When you were always waiting for the next thing to happen, when calm was just the pause before the chaos returned, your nervous system learned to stay alert even when there was nothing to be alert about. And now, even when your life is genuinely okay, even when nothing is actually wrong, your body doesn't know how to believe it. So it keeps moving, it keeps scrolling, it keeps filling the silence. Not because you're broken, but because your nervous system is doing exactly what it learned to do. It is protecting you from a stillness it was taught to distrust. The second one is this, and I want to sit with this one for a moment. And that is the pattern of unhealthy relationships. I want to be very thoughtful here because this is something that often gets misunderstood. Many people who grew up in environments characterized by anxiety, unpredictability, chaos, or emotional instability did not grow up learning what regulated connection feels like. They grew up learning what activated connection feels like. And activated connection, the push and pull, the intensity, the uncertainty, the highs and the lows became what love felt like. It became what friendships felt like. It became what feeling close to another person felt like. So when a relationship comes along that is calm, that is consistent, that is safe, that is not dramatic, the nervous system doesn't recognize it as connection. It recognizes it perhaps a lot of times as boring or distant or something, you might question that something is wrong here. And so without any conscious awareness of what is happening, people find themselves drawn back to relationships that feel familiar, relationships that recreate the anxiety and unease and chaos their nervous system already knows how to navigate. And it's not because they want to be hurt, or not because they don't deserve better, but it's because their nervous system is doing what the nervous systems do. It's gravitating toward what feels like home, even when home was never truly safe. And this is why nervous system regulation is not just about breathing exercises and quiet mornings. It is about understanding why you make the choices you make, why certain people feel magnetic, even when they are not good for you, why calm can feel suffocating when it should feel like relief, or why you might leave a peaceful situation and not fully understand the impulse that drove you out of it. Dysregulation shows up in our bodies. It shows up in our relationship patterns. It shows up in our inability to rest. It shows up in the constant low grade unease that many of us have carried for so long. We've stopped recognizing it as unease at all. We just call it life. But it doesn't have to stay that way. And the first step always is simply recognizing it for what it is. Not a flaw, not a life sentence, but a pattern. And patterns with awareness and time and compassion can change. Before we move on, I want to pause and ask you something here. Which of these patterns feels most familiar to you right now? The inability to sit in stillness, or what about the pattern of the pull toward relationships that feel intense but leave you depleted? Or maybe it's the pattern of quiet, persistent unease that you've just accepted as your baseline. Drop your answer in the comments. You don't have to explain it, just name it, because naming it is the beginning of something important. Your nervous system is not just one piece of your emotional health. it is the foundation of all of it. It shapes how you think, how you relate to other people, how you make decisions, how you experience stress, how you recover from hard seasons, and it's even related to whether you rest ever actually feels like rest. So when it is dysregulated, and most high achieving, overfunctioning, chronically stressed people are operating in a dysregulated system, everything is harder than it needs to be. Your relationship suffers, your body suffers, your ability to be present with the people in the life that you actually have suffers. And the most frustrating part, most people have no idea what they're experiencing even has a name. They just think this is who they are. It isn't who you are. It's a pattern your nervous system learned, and patterns can change. Which brings me to something I think is most important and most overlooked for the kinds of people who tend to find their way to this channel. Many high achievers, many over functioners, many people who have spent years being the responsible one, the capable one, the one who holds everything together, have a nervous system that learned very early that safety requires performance. Maybe you grew up in an environment where love felt conditional, where things were unpredictable, and staying busy was how you stayed in control, where rest felt dangerous because something might fall apart if you stopped. And so your nervous system adapted. It learned striving equals safety, producing equals worth, stillness equals risk. And it got very, very good at that lesson. So good that now, even when you desperately want to slow down, even when your body is exhausted and asking you to stop, something in you won't allow it. And that's because rest feels unfamiliar. Stillness feels like failing, falling, giving up. And you keep moving, not because you want to, but because your nervous system genuinely does not know how to feel safe any other way. And I know this pattern intimately, not just as a therapist, but as a human who lived in it for a very long time. I want to offer three simple things to begin noticing this week. And I do mean simple. In fact, I want to talk about that word for a moment because I think it's the reason most of us dismiss the practices that would actually help us most. When I share these kinds of awareness invitations with people, with clients, I almost always get some version of the same response. That's it? That seems too easy. And I understand that reaction completely because here's what's actually happening underneath it. This system, it has spent years, possibly decades, operating in a state of striving, overwhelm, and difficulty. And it has adapted to complexity, to pressure, or to the feeling that if something isn't hard, it probably isn't working. And so when something simple is offered as a path toward healing, your nervous system quietly rejects it. And it's not because simplicity doesn't work, but because your nervous system doesn't recognize simplicity as productive. It has been conditioned to associate effort with progress and struggle with worthiness. So ease feels like cheating, and gentleness feels like giving up. And something that takes 30 seconds feels like it couldn't possibly be enough. But here's what I really want you to hear. And that is your nervous system is already overstimulated more than likely. It is already carrying probably more than it was designed to hold at any given time. So adding a complicated, demanding healing practice to an already overwhelmed system does not create regulation. It creates more stress, more pressure, and it even creates more evidence that you're not doing enough. So simplicity is not a consolation prize for those who can't handle some real practice. It's probably simplicity is one of the wisest response to a system that is already at capacity. The nervous system does not heal through force. It heals through consistent, gentle, repeated signals of safety. And those signals don't have to be grand, don't have to be elaborate to be effective. They just have to be real. So, with that being said, here are three simple things to begin noticing this week. Just awareness, just noticing, because awareness is always where regulation begins. The first is breathe, not deep breathing as a performance or some elaborate technique, just noticing whether you are breathing at all. Of course, you're breathing, but you know what I mean, shallow breathing. Many people living in chronic stress are shallow chest breathers, meaning their breath rarely reaches their belly. And the body stays in a low grade state of alert because the breath itself is signaling urgency. So just noticing that and allowing one slow, unconstructed exhale begins to send a message of safety to your nervous system. And one breath, that's the whole exercise. And if there's a part of you that just thought that can't be enough, and you probably have heard that before, then that thought is your conditioned nervous system talking. Just notice it and exhale anyway. The second is your jaw. Right now, as you're watching this, I want you to notice your jaw. Is it clenched? Is your tongue pressed against the roof of your mouth? Are your teeth touching? So most people carrying chronic stress and overstimulation hold an extraordinary amount of tension in their jaw without any awareness that it's there. So simply allowing your jaw to soften, not forcing it open or performing any type of relaxation exercise, but just allowing it to soften. That sends a signal through your entire nervous system that the threat has passed. So just 30 seconds, no equipment, no expertise required to do that. And if it feels like it's too small to matter, ignore that, because small and repeated is exactly how the nervous system patterns change. Again, not through grand gestures, through quiet consistency. The third is your environment. Your nervous system is in constant conversation with your surroundings, whether you're aware of that conversation or not. So clutter, noise, overstimulation, constant notifications, too many tabs open, too many demands competing for your attention. All of these keep your system in a low-grade state of alert that you may have stopped even noticing because it has become your baseline. So I want you to begin to notice which environments settle you and which ones activate you. A quieter room, a window with a natural light, maybe stepping outside for a few minutes or so. These are not luxuries. They are nervous system data. And that noticing without changing anything yet is in itself a form of regulation. Your nervous system has been working extraordinarily hard for a very long time. It's been keeping you safe, keeping you moving, keeping you functioning through things that were genuinely difficult, and it deserves something in return. Not a complete overhaul, not a perfect wellness routine, just a little more awareness, a little bit more compassion, and a growing willingness to ask the question, what does my body need right now? Not to perform, but to feel safe. And that question, asked honestly and consistently, is where everything begins to shift. So before we go today, I want to leave you with something to notice this week. Just once a day, morning, evening, afternoon, whichever feels more comfortable and more natural for you. But I want you to ask your body one simple question. Where am I holding tension right now? And I don't want you to try to fix it, not to judge it, but just to notice. We're gonna keep coming back to this topic because nervous system health is the foundation of almost everything else we'll explore together on this channel. So for now, thank you for being here, and thank you for going on this journey with me to explore possibilities for the heart and mind.